Mas lá já dá pra ligar.
Qual o seu desejo?
Minha filha tá viajando. E?
Quer economizar no DDI de casa ou do celular? Faz um 21. Custa menos do que você imagina.
Não acredito. Você voltou a fumar?
Qual o seu desejo? 21 faz. Faz um 21.
Revele a estrela que existe em você. Novo Luz.
12 horas para que um homem perca a vida. 12 horas para que outro prove sua inocência.
Quando meu nariz diz que alguma coisa fede, eu tenho fé nele.
Com 12 horas para que ambos encontrem uma salvação.
Eu juro por Deus, eu não sei quem você está tentando salvar. O Beecham ou você mesmo?
Clint Eastwood em Crime Verdadeiro. Amanhã, no TNT Platinum. TNT Platinum, um oferecimento Volkswagen. Fique com a TNT durante a contagem regressiva para a maior noite de Hollywood, os Academy Awards. Faça uma retrospectiva das grandes conquistas de Hollywood com uma semana repleta de filmes premiados.
Quando poderei vê-la?
Me mostra o dinheiro.
Por que TNT foi morto? Quem tinha o poder para encobrir tudo?
Matrix está em toda parte.
Vocês não sabem nada sobre isso.
Acredito que a não cooperação com danos é uma responsabilidade e que o domínio inglês na Índia é nocivo.
O que você fez mudou a minha vida.
Tudo culmina com o grande evento. A apresentação da TNT dos Academy Awards. Domingo, 29 de fevereiro. Não perca a semana dos Academy Awards na TNT. Um oferecimento McDonald's. Itaú Seguros. Lux. Renault. E Visa. Não é fácil ser a nova garota da escola.
Faça o que fizer, fique longe dela. São bruxas.
Isto é, até encontrar um novo grupo de amigas.
Pelo poder dos 3 dedos grandes, como eu quiser, será.
Robin Tunney, Fairuza Balk e Neve Campbell.
Meninas, cuidado com os malucos.
Nós somos os malucos, senhor.
Jovens Bruxas, sexta, 20 de fevereiro, na TNT. Skydiving, Esquina Nitro, TNT Nitro, todas as quartas e sábados na TNT.
Visite tntla.com e descubra Cinema à la carte, onde você escolhe o seu filme favorito e pode votar quantas vezes quiser. A categoria é Jim Carrey à la carte, com as opções O Pentelho, Pequeno Milagre e O Mentiroso. Vote logo. A votação termina na manhã da apresentação do filme. Cinema à la carte, segunda, 1º de março, só na TNT. Um oferecimento Interligue Telecom e Terra.
Variedade para escolher. Ela é Trista Rand. Quantas gostariam de estar em seu lugar? 25 homens e uma mulher. The Bachelorette, a mais desejada. Warner Channel, com você.
Se a sua vida fosse um filme, você se lembraria dos seus papéis favoritos. Como quando você foi muito valente. O tempo em que você fazia todo mundo rir. O dia que você nunca vai esquecer. E até o dia que preferiria não lembrar. Os filmes do TNT Platinum o fazem lembrar de todos os papéis na sua vida que você adora ver e rever. Reviva os momentos que fazem de você quem você é. Veja os filmes que conhece de cor. Ria, ame e viva mais uma vez. TNT Platinum. As melhores cenas da sua vida.
este fim de semana na TNT. Domingo às 5 da tarde, a TNT apresenta O Sexto Sentido. E mais tarde, não perca o brilho das estrelas no 10º The Screen Actors Guild Awards, às 10 da noite, este fim de semana na TNT.
Maldito desgraçado, vou comer tua peruca. Tá boa, peruca, é.
Tudo bem? Outra vez com esses bichinhos? Tá louco? Dentro dos bichinhos. E vai continuar com esses bichinhos. Sabe o que eu vou fazer com esses bichinhos? Olha o que eu faço com esses bichinhos. Esses bichinhos me deixam louco.
Não!
Não, pare!
Acontece nos filmes, acontece na vida, acontece na TNT.
Mergulhe seu corpo em um banho de leite e envolva-se delicadamente em pétalas de rosa. Novo Palmolive Naturals, leite e pétalas de rosa, enriquecido com proteínas de leite e óleos essenciais de rosas. Possui ingredientes essenciais para nutrir e suavizar sua pele. Palmolive Naturals, leite e pétalas de rosa. Sinta-se suave, sinta-se fininho. Novo Palmolive Naturals, nutrição e suavidade para sua pele.
A verdadeira boa ação está no TNT Nitro. Um agente da divisão antidrogas relutantemente se junta a seu irmão policial em Los Angeles.
Vocês dois podem trabalhar juntos, já que se dão tão bem.
Para combater a máfia russa em Reencontro Mortal. Hoje, no TNT Nitro. TNT Nitro é um oferecimento Embratel. 12 horas para que um homem perca a vida. 12 horas para que outro prove sua inocência.
Quando meu nariz diz que alguma coisa fede, eu tenho fé nele.
Com 12 horas para que ambos encontrem uma salvação.
Eu juro por Deus, eu não sei quem você está tentando salvar. Beecham ou você mesmo?
Clint Eastwood em Crime Verdadeiro. Amanhã, no TNT Platinum. TNT Platinum, um oferecimento Volkswagen. Fique com a TNT durante a contagem regressiva para a maior noite de Hollywood, os Academy Awards.
Thank you so much.
Faça uma retrospectiva das grandes conquistas de Hollywood com uma semana repleta de filmes premiados.
Quando poderei vê-la? Me mostre o dinheiro.
Por que TNT foi morto? Quem tinha o poder para encobrir tudo?
Matrix está em toda parte.
Vocês não sabem nada sobre isso. Acredito que a não cooperação com danos é uma responsabilidade que o domínio inglês na Índia é nocivo.
O que você fez mudou a minha vida.
Tudo culmina com o grande evento. A apresentação da TNT dos Academy Awards. Domingo, 29 de fevereiro. Não perca a semana dos Academy Awards na TNT. Um oferecimento McDonald's, Itaú Seguros, Lux, Renault e Visa.
Este fim de semana na TNT. Domingo às 5 da tarde, a TNT apresenta O Sexto Sentido. E mais tarde, não perca o brilho das estrelas no 10º The Screen Actors Guild Awards, às 10 da noite, este fim de semana na TNT.
Eu também sou de peixes. Eu gosto de plantinhas e de animais.
Qual é o seu animal favorito?
Animal favorito? Deixa eu ver. O koala. E o seu?
Sapo.
Ah, o sapo. Que bonitinho. O sapo?
Mas o que eu queria é...
Olha, tá ficando tarde. Eu tenho que ir.
Não, realmente, adoraria te conhecer.
Nos conhecemos? Não, impossível. Eu sou muito tímida.
Eu não. Bom, eu vou pra aí.
Ui, não.
Olha, mas que coincidência. Você importa se eu me sentar?
Sim, eu me importo.
Acontece nos filmes, acontece na vida, acontece na TNT. Os Academy Awards estão na TNT e você é o nosso convidado especial para a maior noite da televisão. Viva todo o glamour e a emoção da 76ª Festa dos Academy Awards ao vivo. Domingo, 29 de fevereiro, só na TNT. Um oferecimento McDonald's, Itaú Seguros, Lux, Renault e Visa.
Este fim de semana na TNT. Domingo às 5 da tarde, a TNT apresenta O Sexto Sentido. E mais tarde, não perca o brilho das estrelas no 10º The Screen Actors Guild Awards, às 10 da noite, este fim de semana na TNT.
Scott got to start doing documentaries and doing a really good job in documentaries and really paying attention to the human element, the human story. What is that real human being across from me experiencing? And coming into film, he's looking for that same thing, and he has a very keen sense of whether you're off track, human, if whether acting or you're being, and he senses it, and he's always looking for that truthful moment.
Stray dog's back. You want me to get rid of him for you?
No.
Hey, baby, what about a tune?
Sure, baby, sure, no worries.
Bravo, encore. Oh, sock it to us, Liberace.
As a painter, he was always putting some bright colors onto the palette and going, don't dip in, if you mix this with this and this, you're going to end up with sludgy grey.
give me some yellows and white, you know what I mean? That was the implication I got. Which is simple and direct, but very, very effective and telling that as a director that you know that that's what an actor needs at a certain point.
He's a very smart guy. You know, he's a very literary person. He's not interested in crashing and banging around and blowing things up. I just think he's not interested in that stuff. He's an emotionally driven person, a character-driven director. That's what interests him. When we were working on a scene, when we were shooting the scene and getting ready to shoot a scene, even if he was enmeshed in some huge technical snafu or trying to figure something out, if I just called his name and said, I'm confused, he would drop whatever he was doing and run to the actor because, you know, this is his primary concern, is getting the meat of the scene and making sure that everyone is comfortable.
Director Scott Hicks came to international attention with the 1996 release of Shine, his acclaimed feature about musical prodigy David Helfgott. With only a handful of television movies, a coming-of-age feature film, a children's film, and several television documentaries, no one could have imagined he would craft such a mature, powerful study of an outstanding musician, driven by his overbearing father and his personal demons to the brink of madness. Hicks was born in Uganda, East Africa, and grew up in Kenya. When independence came to Kenya, his parents relocated to England, then again to Australia when Scott was just 14 years old.
I was never really sure where I was from, if you know what I mean, having lived in Africa, England, and now Australia. And I think it wasn't until my 20s, and I started to travel overseas again, that I realized I'm Australian. You know, that was the place that I missed, and the sort of the culture, the life, was what I had grown used to and become a part of.
As a young man, Hicks had no clear vision as to what he wanted to do with his future. So after finishing high school, he enrolled in Australia's University of Adelaide, majoring in arts and law, before switching to Flinders University, where he enrolled in a drama class. A move that would offer him the direction he was seeking and a lifelong career.
It transpired that there was one part of the course that was labeled filmmaking, and I gravitated into that with a number of my friends, and you know, it turned out to be the demon seed, if you like. It was sort of, it started to expand and fill my life in a way that by the time I was doing my honours degree, I was doing it entirely in filmmaking topics. And I was spending all of my time doing this thing called filmmaking, which I found so much fun. And I had no idea, really, that you could make a living doing this, or really what it would lead to. It was just the most enjoyable thing in my life. Again, you know, chance had a lot to do with what happened in my life, but I came out as a freshly graduated film student. I had a couple of films, you know, under my belt that I'd financed with funds that I was able to source from various government bodies. I thought I was quite a hotshot, you know. I just produced and directed and written 2 films that were 50 or 60 minutes long, and over the next few years I worked on a succession of feature films, some with some very distinguished directors and people who've gone on in the world of film to become very eminent, like Peter Weir and Bruce Beresford. And I was, you know, a 3rd assistant director or a 2nd assistant and ultimately a 1st assistant. And I was earning a living. It was sporadic, but I was doing something in the medium that interested me. That was important. But I was determined that I would, that I would direct eventually. So I sought opportunities to direct short films that the Film Corporation was also producing for various government departments, and I made a number of documentaries and sponsored government dramas, as it were, and in a way it was sort of cutting my teeth as a director, and I chose projects which involved performance, because I was interested in the idea of working with actors, and I'd promised myself on the last film I worked on as an assistant director that the next time I walked onto a feature film set I would be the director. And
you know, sometimes when you sort of visualize something strongly enough, it can actually come to pass, you know. And it turned out that within a year, I was working on a feature called Freedom, and so that first day that I walked onto the set was actually a magnificent feeling, you know. I've now spent 5 or 6 years working on other people's film sets, and you know, I'd had the privilege to watch a number of other directors working and get a sense of, you know, their sort of style and methods and so on. And now suddenly, this was my set, and it was a feeling of great exuberance, actually. I mean, I just, you know, it was quite unreal. Although there are an enormous amount of, you know, pressure, it sort of impacts on a director in the middle of a film shoot, I felt that I belonged, and I knew it was where I wanted to be. And really, ever since then, you know, the shooting period on a film has always been the source of my greatest excitement and pleasure. All of the preparation and a lot of, you know, the post-production can be very lengthy, can be very tedious, can be, you know, exacting in other ways. But shooting is the adrenaline, you know, that fuels it for me. And even though it's tremendously demanding, it's, at the same time, it provides, you know, the energy. So I really enjoy that part of it.
Hicks would make a number of small films, as well as directing his first feature film in 1981 titled Freedom. His second feature, which he also scripted, was Sebastian and the Sparrow, which depicted the growing friendship between a wealthy, somewhat sissified teen and a homeless runaway. By the mid-1980s, Hicks had begun an association with the American cable network, the Discovery Channel, directing several acclaimed and award-winning documentaries that included The Great Wall of Iron and Submarines, Sharks of Steel, which earned him an Emmy Award. Back in Australia, he worked on the television miniseries Finders Keepers and the TV movie Call Me Mr. Brown. But it was the 1996 release of Shine that moved him to the A-list of directors.
Someone here to see you, David.
It's me, David. Susie.
Susie. Susie, do we know Susie?
Your sister, David.
Sister Susie, Sister Susie. Thank you, Sister Nurse. Sister Susie.
All the time, in between each of these sort of documentary exploits that I was doing, I would return to this screenplay about this pianist, David Helfgott, that I was working on at the same time. And by 1991, you know, it had been nearly 5 years that I'd been involved in researching and writing and, you know, becoming close friends with David and Gillian, going to different parts of the world, going to London and finding out about his time at the Royal College of Music, and because nothing had been written down about David's story. I talked to many members of his family and many friends and so on, gathered a lot of information, and with a very good friend of mine called John McGregor, I had worked up a considerable treatment on, you know, the story as I saw it. And ultimately I sat down and wrote the first draft of the screenplay as it was to be. Then I asked another writer to come in with me. That was Jan Sardi. And I'd admired Jan. We'd actually worked together. He'd been a script editor for me on Sebastian and the Sparrow. And so I asked him if he would come aboard and help me develop this screenplay, which we then did together over the next 3 or 4 years. And I was desperately trying to get funding to get this film made, and came across